Continents. Google defines a continent as one of the world's main continuous expanses of land, i.e. Europe, Asia, Africa, North and South America, Australia and Antarctica. This definition is quite vague, as there are lots of other lands that fit this criteria. For example, what if Greenland wants to be a continent? It's pretty big. Or if we're doing it culturally, how about the Middle East or India? If you keep expanding the definition, you gradually just get more and more continents, until you don't really know what a continent is anymore, and it loses its meaning. CGP Grey made a wonderful video explaining a lot of this, so go check that out if you want to learn some more. But this video isn't exactly about all the continents. We're just focusing on, well, Europe. You see, when you look at a world map, Europe somewhat stands out as it is the only continent not to be separated mostly by a sea or ocean, which goes against our Google definition. Now, there is actually a geographical boundary for Europe's eastern border, with the Ural Mountains cutting straight through Russia. But if we divide continents by mountains and rivers, we once again start drawing more lines and whoops, we're back at the start again, where almost everything can be called a continent. To avoid this problem, some people make the border a political one, by including all or none of Russia in Europe, which solves one problem, but another one arises. That is, that political borders shift and never really stay the same. To prove my point, say Russia took all of this land. Does that make it European? Of course not, it's too far away. That is our problem. So then, if it's not a geographical or political border, then it has to be based on culture. Europe is so different from Asia that we couldn't put them in the same category. But again, this brings up the same problem as the geographical borders. If we want to make Europe a continent, other different places may also want to be continents, and all of a sudden there are hundreds, and it leaves everything in a huge mess. Does this mean there's no true way to divide up Europe? Yeah. Does it mean Europe shouldn't be a continent? Yeah. It makes the most sense, but that's not for me to decide. Anyway, we have our two conflicting Russian borders, and the rest is fairly easy from here. Continuing with Turkey, it's fairly normal to divide Turkey into two. One European one and one Asian one following the strait between the Mediterranean and Black Seas. However, it should be noted that some people put the boundary here, including all of Turkey in Europe. But these people are few and far between, so we can fairly easily ignore it. Also, I would quickly like to mention Cyprus. Cyprus is fairly up for grabs, but I consider it Asian. It's far closer geographically. Now, we're safe to move across the Mediterranean, out through Gibraltar, wrapping around Iceland and the Nordic countries, and we're done. In conclusion, this is Europe. But this is also Europe. Also, don't forget this could be Europe, as well as this being Europe. Or maybe even this is Europe. It doesn't really matter. Let's be honest, the most practical solution is for Europe not to be a continent at all.